Boxing Truth here, back with another video. Make sure to smash that like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. Alright, round of applause to Al Heyman, the commentators, the punch stats, Yordenis Ugas, all play their part in him getting a gift decision against Manny Pacquiao. I gotta hand it to Al Heyman, man. Man, he almost fooled me. And the first time watching this fight, I scored it a draw. If he can almost fool me, just imagine the other people who are not astute ring observers like myself. But this was a tricky fight to score. After the 5th round, there were like a lot of there was a couple of nothing rounds. But after watching the fight again, yeah, Manny definitely won the fight, and Ugas didn't deserve the decision. He shouldn't have gotten the decision. He shouldn't even have gotten a draw. I mean, look at that face, bruh. But all you hear on Twitter, on my page, the comments, oh, Ugas controlled the fight. Ugas beat the shit out of Manny Pacquiao. Yeah? Did you watch the fight, or you were just listening to Sean Porter the whole night? Because he was hired for one night, for one thing only. To convince viewers that Manny was losing the fight the whole fucking time. Because that's what Porter did, practically from the first round on. Kept trying to remind viewers, kept telling them that Manny was losing the fight. But I gotta hand it to him, man. This is what happens when you're a free agent. Manny is no longer under contract to PBC. That deal ended after he whooped Thurman. Was only going to continue if the Mayweather fight had happened, which it didn't, because Mayweather doesn't want to fight Pacquiao again. But even if Manny didn't have a great performance, and I was expecting a lot more from Manny, which is probably why I punished him in my first viewing of the fight and scoring it a draw. I was expecting easy work. I thought it was a perfect style for Manny to look good against. A stationary target, flat-footed, slow feet, but a solid fighter in Ugas, who was on a hot streak coming into the fight with momentum. But he got found out in this fight against a Pacquiao who was limited, according to him, when his legs gave out in the 2nd round. That could be due to age, overtraining. But his movement, there was no angles in this fight from Pacquiao. The movement wasn't there. So he pretty much just he was just in the pocket with Ugas, and he outpunched him, outlanded him, and he beat him up at times. But Ugas, I got to give it up to these Cubans, man. The one thing that they are really known for is their toughness. Most of them. I mean, Erislandy Lara, I'm not a big fan of him, but I got to give it up to him. He's one of the toughest fighters I ever saw when it comes to taking punishment or taking a punch. Some of these Cuban cats have unreal toughness, and that's what Ugas showed, man, because he was taking some punches, he was taking some combinations, and he had a good poker face throughout the whole fight. I mean, he got hurt a couple of times, but he had a good poker face the entire time. But yeah, man, Heyman had the fix was in for this fight. Let me see the scorecards. Let me see the scorecards real quick. Let me just show you how rigged this fight was. I mean, they were giving rounds to Ugas for doing absolutely nothing, which is what he did in the 6th and 7th rounds. Look at Steve Weisfeld's scorecard, and Steve Weisfeld is a decent judge. Actually gave Kovalev credit in the Ward rematch, had him ahead, but he was definitely bought off in this fight, because I know this is not his true scorecard. The first 5 rounds, easy to score. First round to Manny, 2nd round to Ugas, 3rd round to Manny, 4th round to Ugas, 5th round to Manny. Now I agree. After the 5th round, it was a little tricky. Even myself, I had to, I had to watch it again. The 6th round, my first time watching it, I'm like, yo, nothing happened in that round. Who the fuck won that round? So I gave it to Pacquiao after watching it again because really nothing happened in that round. Manny was more active, threw a lot more punches, and landed a couple of more punches. So I gave him the round, but it was pretty much a nothing round. 7th round, I gave it to Pacquiao. Definite Pacquiao round. 8th round, I gave to Ugas. 9th round, I gave to Pacquiao. 10th round, I gave to Pacquiao as well. You could have gave him that round. He was a lot more active than Ugas. Ugas did a lot of waiting, a lot of standing in front of Pacquiao and not throwing enough punches. How do you get an unanimous decision, throw only 400 punches, and look like this against the A side, but he's not a PBC fighter, not under contract, and you're the contracted fighter, you were the replacement, but you were the PBC fighter here, and you're the defending champion. So yeah, the fix was definitely in. Weisfeld's scorecard really exposes himself. He gave every round to Ugas except the 11th round, and that was the best round of the fight for either fighter. Manny beat the shit out of Ugas that round, hurt him in that round as well, gave him a shellacking. Questionable, very questionable scorecard here. I could trash every one of these scorecards right now. He gives the 11th round to Ugas. Patricia Jarman gives the 11th round to Ugas. That scorecard's all set right there. Same thing with Dave. Oh, why would Team Pacquiao have Dave Moretti as a judge? I don't understand that. You know how many times Dave Moretti has screwed Pacquiao? He screwed him in the freaking Mayweather fight as well. Scored at the exact same score as well. It's 116, 112. And all Mayweather did was run around and hold Pacquiao. This scorecard, suspect as hell. He gives the 9th round to Manny, doesn't give the 11th round. He gives him all the clear rounds that he won though, except the 11th. And I don't think Ugas won these rounds. Don't think he won the 10th round either. So all these scorecards are suspect and questionable at least. But it's crazy. All Ugas had to do to win this fight was not get thoroughly dominated, which I can't say he was. He didn't get knocked out, but he got credit and won rounds on these scorecards for doing absolutely nothing. Like in the 6th round, like in the 7th round. Even got credit for winning a round by getting his ass whooped in the 11th round. I really got to question how the hell did Patricia and Dave give the 11th round to Yordenis Ugas. So another robbery was in place for Manny. And Manny, he didn't have the greatest performance, but the one thing I did notice, he threw a lot of fucking punches in this fight. Over 800. More than almost doubled the amount that Ugas threw. And that was the most punches he threw probably since the Margarito fight. He hasn't gotten up to that level of punches in a minute. But he was able to do it against Ugas, who was a stationary target. I mean, I thought this was the perfect style, the perfect fight for Manny, for him to get a knockout. It didn't happen, but he shouldn't have lost this fight. The decision should have gotten his way. I know he wants a rematch. You can tell at the end of this fight that when the bell rung that he felt he won. You can tell by the body language. But I already know what's going to happen. If Manny don't knock Ugas out in a rematch, Heyman's just going to have these judges give him the decision for not getting knocked out, which is why he was rewarded the decision for not getting thoroughly dominated and knocked out. which was the only way Manny was gonna win this fight. It's crazy. Damn, bro. I mean, Owl really will go this low to protect one of his pieces on that chessboard. I mean, he was probably scared to death of that Spence Pacquiao fight. He was probably relieved that Spence had to pull out. But if I'm Manny, if he's going to fight again, he should try to convince either Crawford or Spence to fight him, even though he's coming off an official loss. But yeah, that was some bullshit what happened last Saturday in Vegas. I mean, Manny didn't get any credit for the punches he landed, punches he thrown, and the damage he inflicted. And Ugas got so much credit just for not getting knocked out and just competing. But he didn't win this fight, man. But I don't need to see a rematch. I already know Heyman's going to have the robbery in place once again, unless Manny knocks him out. And I think Manny knows deep down inside what happened and what would need to happen in a rematch if he wants to get a victory. Because you already know how Heyman's going to protect Errol Spence to the end, man. He's going to make sure Ugas gets away with another gifted decision in order to avoid that showdown. Because you don't want that fight to happen. And that's not good news for boxing fans. If he's willing to go this low to avoid having Spence fight Pacquiao, imagine what hoops and obstacles he's going to put in place for Crawford if that fight ever occurs. But yeah, man, I know facial damage doesn't determine who wins the fight, but seriously, who would you rather be after the fight? Pacquiao? Ugas? My man's got both of his eyes shut. Pacquiao? Ugas? Ugas? Yeah, man. Thank you, Al Heyman, bro. Thank you for that gift. Thank you very much. This is Boxing Truth. I'm out.